1. My brain is scattered right now because of the activity with this entity recently. I can't seem to think straight since it's been around. Again. It is a darker than night, pitch black hooded figure with blurred edges. My first memories of my childhood were of this figure standing in the living room watching. I grew up with it. I've seen it so many times. I was afraid of it because I didn't understand what it was. I eventually grew used to it. It had always just watched. Until 2 months before I turned 17. I had always gotten the feeling from this entity that it was waiting. When I look at it, or when it's around, and I can't even see it, I feel an intensity of nothingness, so empty. All that is left is fear. Pure fear. I had been fighting with my boyfriend on the phone. Long story short, I was laying on the floor very upset. There is a shadow that casts along the living room floor from the archway that leads into the kitchen. I remember I had felt intense anxiety. I had never had anxiety before. And leading up to the following moment, my heart felt like it was going to beat out of my chest. I knew something was going to happen, I just didn't know what. I looked down, and a shadow had risen up from the shadow cast along the floor and came at me. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't scream. It had a hold on my neck and dragged me across the floor about 6 feet. I was pushed into a laundry basket and completely crushed it. I had been grabbing my neck in the same fashion people do when they are being strangled by a human. All of a sudden, it vanished. I couldn't see it. I could feel it was gone. I crawled into the living room and just screamed as loud as I could. My parents came sprinting downstairs and found me a complete mess on the floor, tears running down my face, pupils dilated to an extreme, hyperventilating, shaking, and feeling so weak. I told my parents exactly what happened. They looked more scared of me than what had happened. I had seen entities my entire life. Most of them have been clear depictions of people with white auras around them. But this hooded figure is the one that scares me. No other entity I have seen has terrified me this much. I have been grabbed twice, and told to enter dark rooms by myself multiple times. A door would creak open and I would hear a voice say, "Come here." I've heard strange, inexplicable crashes in the house. My older cousin had even moved in for about a year, but he moved out after he had fallen into a deep depression from being in the house. He told me he tried to protect me from it, and he was sorry he couldn't. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning every night for weeks into months. This all happened from the ages of 16 to 18. I moved a few hours away from home and only had a few experiences seeing it while being away. I recently moved back into my parents' house, and I have been waking at 3:30 once again. 2 nights ago, at 9 p.m., I had a strange feeling something would happen at exactly 3 a.m. I had fallen asleep, and at exactly 3 a.m., the top shelf of my closet completely fell, and it scared the living hell out of me because I had been sound asleep. This hooded figure has followed me around. But physical things only happen when I'm at my parents'. I can feel it when it's around. I wouldn't be afraid of it if it weren't for the grabbing and the audible "come here" phrases. I have no idea what this is. I spoke with a professional and they said it was attached to me. Obviously. Please help. Edit. It stands about 6 to 7 feet tall. Events related to this entity have been happening in multiple houses, so it has followed me through at least 7 different moves. Another edit. I just thought of something else. I've always felt different feelings when physical, audible things would happen. Possibly two different entities? People have said with this watcher that they feel like they won't live past a certain age. I feel the same thing. 2. I'm pretty sure my ex-boyfriend's house has some weird portal or parallel universe shit going on there. Things disappear and end up in random places. I will see things that didn't happen. I'll make it short and sweet. So a couple years ago when I was living there, I was doing some laundry, but I didn't finish it and went to bed. The next day, me and one of the roommates were the only ones home. And I noticed he was doing laundry, and I told him to just throw my load somewhere and I'll get it when he is done. However, he told me he didn't see any clothes anywhere in there. So I just assumed maybe my ex got to it after I went to bed. So I wait for the roommate to finish. He left, and I was home alone. I was looking for the laundry to either fold or to try to find something to wear that was washed in that load. But I couldn't find it anywhere. I looked goddamned everywhere, in my roommate's rooms, closets, the bathrooms, even the kitchen cabinets. I couldn't find it anywhere. I texted the other roommate just to see if he had seen it, and he said no, and that I probably overlooked it. I said, fuck you, I'ma show you I've looked everywhere. So I get my phone out and start recording myself looking everywhere in the house again. And at the very end, I opened the washer to prove it wouldn't be there because the other roommate said he saw no other loads of laundry. And there it was, freshly washed in the washer. Now, our washer was kind of ghetto and had to be restarted a few times throughout the cycle. I was home alone and never even heard it on. And when I opened the washer, the cycle was completed. No access to water or anything like that. It was super weird. Same thing happened with some dishes. No one did any, and somehow some ended up in the dishwasher. We also have numerous drugs go missing. Just like shrooms, LSD, bud, dabs. Couldn't find them anywhere, and then they will pop up in super weird places. We are still friends, and he was backpacking Europe, and I went by his house to check on the cats. And as I left, I noticed my car key was missing. I spent a good hour looking for it, and couldn't find it anywhere. I even looked in the yard and couldn't find it. The roommate mowed and said he still didn't see it. And when I was there that day, I placed my keys in one spot, and one spot only, and they are just nowhere to be found. Now the other day he comes back from Europe and I pick him up from the airport, only to find out he had to leave again the next day, for work for 4 weeks. So out of celebration of him being home, and yet another farewell, we decided to day trip on shrooms. But keep in mind, I've tripped on his shrooms before, and they aren't visual at all as much as they give a great body high and mental state. Anyways, we weren't really tripping that hard. I wasn't, at least, just wasn't feeling it. So I decided to go outside, and one of the cats ran out with me, which is fine because he likes to roam the neighborhood a bit. But I decided to go back inside, and my cat was already chilling under one of the sheds, so I decided to let him chill a bit. I was starting to come down from my trip a lot. It was hardly tripping, really. I waited about 15 minutes, then went back outside. Didn't see him, so I gave him a little more time and went back outside, and I swear on everything I can that I saw him running across the yard and into the house. I even said, "Hey Sebby, good boy," and went about my day. My ex ran an errand and came back and asked if Sebby was inside, and I said yes. We didn't really see him the rest of the night, but we weren't really paying much attention. So, the next morning, we had to wake up at like 3:30 to get my ex back to the airport. And before we left, he was looking for Sebby but couldn't find him anywhere. So he opens the door and in he comes. Like I said, I swear on everything that I saw him running across the yard and into the house. I talked to him. I had a witness too, but he was gone by morning. Granted, yes, I was under the influence of shrooms, but the whole trip I wasn't tripping so hard that I would hallucinate seeing my cat running across the yard and into the house. And also one time I ordered a pizza and heard a knock at the door, but no one was there, and literally not even 2 minutes later, I heard the exact same knock. The house is just weird. No bad vibes or anything, but weird little shit like that happens all the time. Three. Ever since I was little, I had experiences with the paranormal. Don't know if it's one person or not. First experience, around 4 to 7 years old. Woke up in the middle of the night from hearing noises in the basement, even though I was on the second floor. Woke up my dad, and he brought a bat and found nothing. Nightmares about someone hiding in my closet in my bedroom, and waking up in the middle of the night and watching from my bed my parents' door opening, but no one there. As a kid, I had to leave the closet light on and the door closed. One nightmare I had, I was laying in bed and I could feel someone sit next to me and touch them. The touch felt very real. And as soon as I did whatever it was, ran away. Another nightmare, can't remember the dream. I woke up in the middle of the night, and someone whispered in my ear, "Weird." Another nightmare, I was in the pitch black dark, on marble steps, and a black shadow was choking me and wouldn't let me scream. I had to rip open my mouth in my dream, and scream, then I could finally wake up. I've also had weird dreams, like my doppelganger trying to kill me, or warning me of houses, like deja vu. This one time, I had a dream. I was in a house with wobbly railing and she pushed me down the stairs and the railing broke. A year later, I was hanging out with a new friend who brought me to their house, and it was the same house. Needless to say, I never stepped foot in that house again. When I moved out of state, these experiences seemed to stop for the most part. However, in the middle of the night, I would hear an old talk radio playing, like the old AM stations. I'm 25 now, and I moved back and into a new house. Tonight, though, I'm scared to go to sleep. I was just woken up by 3 knocks from my attic. I have experienced sleep paralysis, had a lot of issues with depression and anxiety. I had a lot of other nightmares and experiences as well. My sister believes me because when I was gone for camp for a couple of weeks, someone was pacing in my room in the middle of the night. My friends have experienced it as well with me. I guess what I'm trying to ask here is, am I crazy? I need to see a psychiatrist, or do I need to keep praying and maybe buy a St. Benedict's medal? I tried communicating with whatever it is, by pen and paper, and talking, but it never responds. Hey everyone, HelloFreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to True Paranormal Stories, episode 11. This was a close one. I actually left it a little bit too late this week to source stories, but some very kind people came through for me in the end. So much thanks to them and their prompt responses. Okay, I have to start thinking about my Saturday video. Still not 100% that it'll be a TFIU. I've only got one at the moment. We'll see what I can get before recording. I'm gonna go see what I can do about that, so until next time. Thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.